Hello and welcome. This is The Truth About News. I'm your host, Keith Lander, and today we want to talk about the debate. And I know a lot of folks seen the debate. About 67 million people seen the debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Here's some takeaways from the debate. It all started with the handshake. Now, if you look at the handshake and you look where Donald Trump was trying to escape Vice President Harris, when they walk in, all right, you can see that Trump tries to go a different direction than when he's seen Vice President Harris coming. And Vice President Harris went all the way over there, stuck her hand out and says, Kamala Harris, Vice President, I think that's what she said, and shook his hand and looked him dead in his eye. From that moment on, Donald Trump knew he was in serious trouble. The other thing I noticed about the debate, Donald Trump never referred to Vice President Harris calling her by her name. He always referred to she and they and that kind of nonsense and her. So that leads me to believe that Donald Trump was scared of Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris. He was scared to even look her way. That he was intimidated. And all y'all folks talking about Donald Trump, he's a strong man. Oh, he ain't scared of nobody. He was scared of Kamala Harris, that's for sure. And then the debate started. And let me just highlight one issue. The issue about the abortion. The abortion issue came up. Donald Trump appointed 3 Supreme Court justices who said in their confirmation hearing that Roe v. Wade was settled law. When they got on the Supreme Court, they overturned Roe v. Wade. So they said one thing, they done another. And then Donald Trump come talking about, oh, it's in the states' hands, it's in the states' hands. Well, the states came in and tried to do these absolute bans. The Donald Trump bans, as Vice President Harris calls them. These bans, right, are preventing women from making decisions or getting procedures about their health. All right. What Donald Trump did, he put all women in jeopardy health-wise when it comes to reproductive rights, and he took the rights away from a woman to make her choice about her own body. Now let me compare it to this. And when COVID hit, all them mega folks were talking about, we don't want government telling us to wear a mask, we shouldn't. But you want government to tell a woman what to do with her body? You can't have it both ways. Huh? You can't have government, you saying government, I don't want government to tell me what to do, put on a mask and all this stuff to keep folks safe. But you want government to tell a woman what to do with her bodies. Donald Trump made that decision. It all falls on Donald Trump's head. It didn't have to be this way. He did it because he was too ignorant to understand the magnitude of the issue. And he's listening to those clowns around him, in his circus, because that's what it is. And they don't know either. He don't know and they don't know. And they too stupid to understand that he don't know. And he too stupid to understand they don't know. You see what I'm saying? So it's just stupidity leading stupidity. That's what it is. And I will say that Donald Trump said at the debate, right, that everybody wanted him to overturn Roe v. Wade. Vice President Harris says, no, nobody wanted that. And if I can play that clip.
Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that.
Look like a boy who's been caught with his hand in the cookie jar. He dropped his head. You know what I mean? Because he knew he's been beaten. She beat him to a pulp, folks. And let's talk about another issue that came up in the debate. The Affordable Care Act, right? Donald Trump, right, tried to eliminate the Affordable Care Act. the Affordable Care Act, there's almost 15 million people receiving health care through the Affordable Care Act. Donald Trump is tried like heck to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, right? And a matter of fact, since 2016, Donald Trump said he had a plan to replace the Affordable Care Act. That's 8 years. He said it in 2016, 17, 18, 19. He said it in 2020, and he's still saying it now 8 years later that he has his plan. He do not have a plan. And when the moderator of the debate asked him, do he have a plan to replace the Affordable Care Act, Donald Trump said he has concepts of a plan. Now, what the hell is that? Concepts of a plan, meaning he do not have a plan, folks. Like Vice President Harris said, he's not concerned about you, he's concerned about him. He don't even understand how any of this stuff works. It was on display and 67 million people seeing Donald Trump's stupidity on national TV. This man should never be behind the seal of the presidency of the United States again. Let's move on. Let's talk about the economy. A lot of people say, oh, well, the economy is real good under Donald Trump. Let me explain that, because the national media is not doing a good job. When President Obama left office after 8 years, the economy was on solid footing. Solid, right? When Donald Trump took office, the first 3 years, the economy was still on solid footing because Donald Trump didn't have to do anything because it was already in motion through President Obama. What happened when the COVID virus hit, Donald Trump didn't know what to do, folks. He didn't know what to do. The bottom fell out the economy, right? This COVID was a worldwide pandemic. The stock markets headed to a crash. People were losing jobs by the millions, all right? The gas prices were down because you know why? Nobody was going anywhere, all right? So the bottom line is, how do you judge a good leader? You judge a good leader at a time of crisis. How that leader responds to a crisis. Donald Trump response to the COVID was disastrous to the fact that 1 million Americans lost their life with this COVID vaccine with this COVID, and Donald Trump was playing around because in May of 2018, the Trump administration disbanded the pandemic response team. That was the team President Obama had in place. That, remember when they talking about Ebola was headed to the United States? President Obama got the team together to stop that Ebola from coming and spreading in the United States. Remember when they said that the bird flu was coming, the swine flu was coming, the killer bees were coming? President Obama stopped all that. Donald Trump did not have the intelligence, did not have the smarts, did not have the wherewithal, did not have good common sense to even understand how to stop a virus from coming to the United States. And the reason I say that, because in January 22 of 2020, he said, and I quote, "We have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China and it's going to be fine." That's what Donald Trump said about the coronavirus. Also, let me say this. He said in February of 27, he said it's going to disappear. One day it'd be like a miracle. It will disappear. It didn't disappear till after 1 million people were dead and I don't know how many million more is affected, right? Let me tell you this. Trump also praised China for handling of the COVID virus, all right? He said China has been working very hard to contain the coronavirus. The United States greatly appreciates the efforts and transparency. It will all work out well. In particular, on behalf of the American people, I want to thank President Xi, which is Chinese president. That's what he said January 24th, 2020. You know what he said in September 10th, 2020? It's nobody's fault with China. That's what Donald Trump said. And you people are still supporting this clown? Let me move on. Let me talk about this economy when Donald Trump left office. The economy lost 2.7 million jobs. The unemployment rate rose by 1.7%. to 6.4%. The international trade deficit under Trump promised to reduce went up. The U.S. trade deficit in goods and services in 2020 was the highest since 2008, an increase of 36.3% in 2016. The number of people lacking health insurance rose by 3 million. The federal debt held by public went up from 14.4 trillion to 21.6 trillion. Home prices rose by 27% of ownership. Coal production. Remember Donald Trump said, "Oh, coal, I'm going to take care of the coal workers. Coal's going to do this. Coal's going to do this." Let me tell you what happened under his watch for real. Coal production declined 26.5%, and coal mining dropped by 25%. Also, this notion about this crime. Crime is this, crime is that. Shut up, Donald Trump. You don't know what you're talking about. In the debate, he said crime was up. The FBI numbers reported they rose to the highest level since 1977, the murder rate under Donald Trump. So all this notion about Trump being a good president, he wasn't, folks. And it was on display at that debate. Let me say this about the Afghanistan withdrawal, because that came up. Let me tell you what actually happened. And I'll read this verbatim because I found this report. It said President Trump ordered direct talks with the Taliban without consulting other allies and partners or allowing Afghanistan government to negotiate in September of 2019. President Trump emboldened the Taliban by publicly considering inviting them to Camp David on the anniversary of 9/11. Now, let me pause right there. The Taliban is a terrorist organization which created terror not only in their area, but wanted to kill as many Americans as they possibly can. All right? Let me move on. February 2020, the United States and the Taliban reached a deal known as the Doha Agreement, under which the United States agreed to withdraw all forces from Afghanistan by May of 2021. In return, the Taliban agreed to participate in a peace process and refrain from attacking U.S. troops and threatening Afghanistan's major cities, but only as long as the United States remained committed to withdraw by the agreement's deadline. As part of the deal, President Trump also pursued the Afghan government to release 5,000 Taliban fighters from prison. And one of those fighters they released, of those 5,000, has been head of the Taliban right now. Right? 5,000 prisoners. Now, what did the United States get out of that? You tell me. You tell me. Not only that, let me move on, folks. Now, well, I'll say that about the administration. Now, when President Biden took over, he only had 3 months to get the folks out of Afghanistan. Now, you may say, oh, it was hectic, it was this, it was that. The deal was already struck. You know what I mean? President Biden just went along with it, tried to get those folks out of there, and people wanted the Afghanistan war to stop, and it did. So, let's move on. Oh, let's talk about the border. Donald Trump always talking about the border this, the border that, the border's all these people coming in, all these people coming in. Look, folks, under Donald Trump, all right, more people came across that border than you can shake a stick at, all right? He always talking about closing the border. Let me say this. When he was president, did Donald Trump close the border? Huh? When Donald Trump was president, why didn't he do what he always talked about? Close the border. He didn't, did he? Right? Why didn't he come up with solutions to reduce the number of migrants trying to come into the United States? You know why he didn't? Because he didn't have the intelligence. This man is ignorant, y'all. Ignorant. You know what I mean? You can't get much more ignorant than this man. And people who support this garbage. United States, folks, America, we are better than this, right? And let me say this in the debate about when we're talking about the migrants. Reports went out and social media stuff went out, and Donald Trump repeated the most ignorant piece of social media conspiracy theory I ever heard in my entire life. When he referred to the migrants in Springfield, that he said they were eating dogs, that the people that came in, they're eating cats. Donald Trump said the migrants in Springfield, which is, by the way, mostly from Haiti, were eating people's dogs and cats. That was clearly debunked conspiracy theory, not only by the officials in Springfield, Ohio. For Donald Trump, and even the moderator said that it's not true. And Donald Trump's response was, "I seen it on TV." Well, if I see Bigfoot on TV, I'm to assume that Bigfoot is real. As an elected official, as the president of the highest office of the land, you cannot look on these social media outlets and take stuff for the truth. I mean, any high school kid can figure this out, but he couldn't. He repeated something that's so outlandish that he thought it was true. And Vice President Harris manipulated him like she was playing a video game. He took every bait. She threw that bait out there. If she was fishing, she would have caught so much fish, she'd have had more fish than what Jesus fed them folks with back in the day. She was just wheeling them in, and he was just on the hook. He couldn't get off the hook. He was on the hook. Everything she did, he fell for it. You see how easy he is to be manipulated? And just think, KGB agent like Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, Xi down in China. Just think how all these people would treat this man. They would eat his lunch, like Vice President Harris said. Vladimir Putin just ate your lunch, ate you, whatever the heck it was. And she did the same thing, and then she took a biscuit and sopped the rest of it up. Sopped it up to the point that he don't want no more debates no more. I don't want to debate her no more. You know, because he got more than what he talked about. Now, let me say this about the immigration. There was a bipartisan immigration bill on the floor to be signed to go into the voting. All right? Donald Trump called his Republican buddies and told him do not sign that border bill because he wanted to use it as a campaign ploy. And that's what the Republican Party did. It was a bipartisan bill. Now, you may say, the bill didn't do this. There's no bill that's perfect. There's not a bill since the government started that's perfect. But this bill was supported by Border Control, Security, Police, Border Control Administration. They all supported this bill. The only people that didn't support the bill was Donald Trump and the Republicans. And the only reason why they didn't want to support the bill is because it would have corrected and eased some of the issues at the border. And Donald Trump wanted to run on that. This man put his politics over the safety of those agents who's working very hard down at that border to do the best they can, and they would have had more resources, and Donald Trump said no. So you got it, folks. This is what we're dealing with. It's your vote. Like I said in the last show, it's your vote. You can do what you please, but I guarantee you this, what we've seen at that debate, Donald Trump was a disgrace. He was a disgrace not only to himself, but he was a disgrace to America, folks. Plain and simple. If anybody else tell you anything different, they're lying to you. And ain't no way in hell this man should be president of the United States for the simple fact that when this man said when he takes office, he wants to suspend the Constitution. Suspend the Constitution and be a dictator on day one, which he will if he suspends the Constitution. You know what that means? We're going back to the days when businesses didn't want to serve certain kind of people that look like me, people who LGBTQ folks, people who were Latino community, Those are the days which Donald Trump want to get back to. In the words of Vice President Harris, we are not going back. All right? Keep that in mind. Show this video to your friends, spread it around, let them know that Donald Trump should have disqualified. He was disqualified when he blurted out they eating cats and dogs. That's when it should have stopped. They should have stopped. They should have stopped the debate right then and there and said, "We're done. Donald Trump, you're disqualified. Let's get out of here because we ain't putting up with this nonsense no more." That's when it should have stopped right then and there. You know what I mean? Because the man has lost his complete mind. All right. So I'm gonna end it with that. I think I put out enough. So until next time, I'm Keith Lander. I appreciate you watching, and may God bless you and your family.